Welcome back. Now, the latest Altron FinTech Household Resilience Index for the fourth quarter of 2024 shows a slight improvement in consumer pockets. However, households are still under severe financial pressure due to high interest rates and debt costs. Independent analyst Roelof Botha joins us now to unpack some of the trends that he has seen during his compilation of the index. Thank you so much for your time, Roelof. Let's actually start off there with that improvement that we saw in the fourth quarter of 2024. How far does it actually go in improving the position of households in South Africa?
Unfortunately, not very far. It's a welcome development, 2.9% year-on-year improvement, but, and it's a big but, the index was artificially inflated by the lump sum withdrawals from pension funds. This also occurred in the third quarter, it happened in the fourth quarter, and it's probably going to happen in the first quarter of this year again. And although that has assisted households with more cash to spend, it's to the detriment of their long-term savings, obviously. So they either have to work longer, find a night job. And it shows, as Johan Gillitley, the MD of Altron FinTech, points out, it shows that they are still under financial strain because the debt cost disposable income ratio is still very close to 9%. It was only 6.8% before the Monetary Policy Committee of the Reserve Bank started this, as far as I'm concerned, ridiculous restrictive monetary policy, which took interest rates to their highest levels in 15 years, despite the complete absence of demand inflation. Doesn't make a lot of sense, quite frankly.
Roelof, from what I'm gathering, you're saying here that the main culprit of this strain on South African households is the restrictive monetary policy. I can't remember by the end of 2024 how many interest rate cuts we'd had, 2 or 3, but we did have a hold in the last one. And I'm wondering what the runway then is for consumer pockets, considering that there's a little bit of caution that the South African Reserve Bank is applying going forward.
Yes, well, there have been 3 cuts, September, November, and then in January, and then they skipped March.
Yeah.
They meet every second month, and they skip March. They put the rate cutting cycle on hold. For the life of me, I cannot understand why they did that. Because central banks are cutting rates all over the world because of fears of a recession. The same fears have been mooted in South Africa. Our economy is not growing. It's hardly growing. It is growing, but it's hardly growing. Our problem is not inflation. The inflation rate, the consumer price index, is not even in the target range of the Reserve Bank. It's 2.7%. The target range is 3 to 6%. And the producer price index is barely above 0. Inflation is not this country's problem. This country's problem is unemployment and a lack of growth. And a quick fix would be simply to lower our interest rates. There is no need for these interest rates because there's no demand inflation in the economy. And I'm just hoping and praying that they will do the sensible thing in a couple of weeks' time when they meet again and lower interest rates to levels where they were before COVID struck us. This has become so desperately needed.
And actually, Roelof, how are you reading the cooling in inflation at this point? Would you say that the SARB at this point doesn't really have a hand and can't really claim having a hand in the cooling down of that inflation, and so in turn, they should actually decrease interest rates?
Yes, I find it actually preposterous that the MPC not long ago claimed the credit for lowering inflation when their interest rates had absolutely nothing to do with it. The reason why the whole world and South Africa by 2021 was faced with very high inflation was simply related to 2 issues. Yeah. A 700% increase over a 2-year period in freight shipping charges. And I just want to advise the viewers that 80%, 80, of all tradable goods get shipped by the ocean. So when that cost goes up by 700%, you are going to have very high inflation. And the other one was the 400% increase in the oil price, inter alia, because of Mr. Putin's military invasion of a democratic free enterprise economy, the Ukraine. And the normalization of those two prices was obviously going to happen as the world started recovering from all the COVID lockdowns. It had nothing to do with high interest rates. And even Joseph Stiglitz, a well-known Nobel Prize winner in economics, one of the best economists in the modern era, severely criticized central banks that just started raising interest rates when there was no demand inflation in the economy. And we made the same mistake as far as I'm concerned.
What kind of risks are you seeing outside of South Africa? Because there's only so much that we can do domestically, because now there's increased macroeconomic risk on the global front, of course, something that could filter through to the domestic economy. Do you think that presents a significant risk to households going forward?
Not necessarily. We must remember, I'm probably sounding a little bit pessimistic right now, but as long as interest rates remain where they are, we're not going to see meaningful growth in South Africa. But we are a resilient bunch in this country. We seem to obviously survive every crisis. So this is not a crisis yet, but they should really wake up. I just want to point out that 5 of our 10 largest export trading partners for high value added products, 5 of the 10 are sub-Saharan African countries. By the way, the US is our second biggest export trading partner for high value added products, excluding metals and minerals. Germany is number 1, but then follows 5 sub-Saharan African countries. If we can concentrate on improving the logistics within the SADC area, with the underutilization of manufacturing capacity in this country, we can grow this whole region at a rate of knots, but then we must lower the cost of capital. It's as easy as that.
And just lastly, as we wrap up the conversation, are there any positives that households can hold on to in terms of how their financial position is to look like in the short term, at least?
Well, there is the option of dipping into your savings through the two-pot system, but remember that is a short-term solution. So skills development is going to be terribly important. I just want to advise viewers that when, not if, but I believe when this economy starts growing, and the World Bank has provided us, at the request of the South African government 2 years ago, with a roadmap for higher growth. And part of that roadmap means that we have an incisive look into the public sector efficiency in this country and get rid of people that are not adding value and that perhaps do not have the right qualifications or experience. And that should also facilitate growth. But we have created jobs last year, more than 400,000 of them. In the meantime, until interest rates come down, look out for those specials. That's the only way I can afford Nescafe Gold.
All right, well, thank you so much, and hopefully that will be soon, Roelof. Thank you so much for your insights and really giving us insights on the position that South African households sit on at this point in time. That was independent analyst Roelof Botha.